And now we can go ahead and bind it off. And I'm just going to do a slightly decreased bind off so I don't get a lot of bulk. And it's pretty easy to do. So all we're going to do first is do a row of E-wrap. And it doesn't matter which stitch you ended with, whether you ended with the Jupiter stitch or the U-wrap, it'll work fine either way. So we're just going to E-wrap nice and loose all the way around the loom. And the reason you want to keep it loose is you're going to have to move some stitches, and you want to them to be fairly loose to move. I just kind of gently push it to make sure I'm keeping it nice and loose. Okay, and then you're just going to knit the last one to secure it. Knit it over, and then you're just going to go around the loom and knit off the E-wrap. Okay, so I'll just put you on pause and we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so now that that's done, what you're going to do is you're going to go by twos all the way around the loom, and every second peg is going to go on the first peg, the yarn. So you're going to take it off and you're just going to move it over to the peg before it. So just taking it off and moving it to the peg before it. And you're just going to go all the way around the loom. So you'll have 2 loops on peg 1, nothing, 2 loops on peg 2, nothing, or two loops over here. And you're just going to keep doing that so that every second peg will be blank and every second peg will have the 2 loops on it. Okay? So if you are on a uneven loom, you won't have an even amount of pegs, so you just don't bother doing the last one. Doesn't really matter. And because I kept this nice and loose, it's quite easy for me to move these over. Just awkward because the angle I have it, but okay, so I'm going to put you on pause, and as you see how this is looking, and we're just going to meet up when we have that done. Okay, now that you have that all done, all you're going to do is go around the loom and knit the bottom one over the top, like that. And that reduces the bulk so that your cast off and the back of your hat will lay a lot flatter. And more, and then the one more, and there we are, and there's the working yarn coming out of this one. And then all we're going to do is, with the working yarn, go around the loom 1.5 times and just cut your yarn. Now you can either use your loom hook or a needle, And we're just going to go up and scoop up the loops so we can do a drawstring bind off. And I usually use a needle, but if you were going to use your loom hook, which is easy to do with this method, you just take the yarn and pull it through like that. And if you have a needle, you just put the needle on and you're going to pick it up the same way. I usually use a needle. This is so much easier though when you're doing it sometimes. On a bigger loom, I'd for sure want a needle. Okay, so I'm just going to put you on pause and we'll pick it all up and I'll see you at the beginning. Okay, now when we get all the way around, we make sure we pick up the very first stitch that we had already picked up. You want to make sure that every peg is on here. Now all you have to do is take all the pegs off the loom. You just go around and you just flip them off. I'm just holding on to the drawstring here because I want to make sure that it doesn't come off. And we just take them all off. And you can even do it with your fingers. And there we go. All off the loom. We can just put the loom to the side. We don't need it anymore. And then you're going to take the working yarn and you're just going to drawstring the brim closed. Okay, you're just going to make sure that it's all like that. And then when you get it about halfway, you're just going to take the working yarn and put it through the hat and flip it this way because we're going to finish it on the wrong side. And we just bind it up, and as you see here, it's going to be not as bulky as it would have been. We've thinned that out. Okay, and now this is when we do need a needle. So I'm just going to get a needle. I have a needle in this handy dandy little thing. And also you can cut the working yarn a lot shorter. You just need to sew that close. So I'm going to cut it to about there and put the needle through the yarn, or the yarn through the needle. Okay, there we go. So that's threaded, and we're just going to sew this closed. So what I do is, now that I've bound it up, is I kind of pinch it so I can see where that edge was, and then I make sure it's pulled nice and tight. There's the hole in the middle, so I just want to pinch it so I'm at that hole in the middle. And then I just take the needle and I just sort of sew around in a circle around that hole, just picking up some loops. Okay, and then I'm going to actually do a knot. And my loom wants, or my yarn wants to be all weird. Go, and I'm going to do another knot. Just want to make sure that this doesn't come apart. just going to go to the other side. And make another knot. And then you can sew the working yarn in if you'd like. I just actually, because it's not going to be reversible, I just cut it and leave it. It's not going to hurt anything. Doesn't bother me. And the other side of your hat looks like this. It's a lot thinner, but we'll take it and we'll stretch our stitches, because that's what you always do when you make a hat, is you stretch your stitches. You pull it every way and make sure it's all stretched out. And then there's your hat. It's looking really nice. The top is flattened a lot better, your beanie hat, than it would have been. And there you go. You have a beautiful beanie hat.